right, let me check the audio. We're live. All right. So today we have a deal in Cape Coral. It's got posted. Let's see, under 30 grand for 375 grand, 370 grand Cape Coral pool house. Okay, 203 Chiquita Boulevard, South Cape Coral, Florida 33991. 3-bed, 2-bath, 1580 square feet, building 06, still relatively new. Good sized lot. Total purchase price 367,623.64. I want to start being efficient with my time here. Let's go ahead and just plug these numbers into a spreadsheet right here. 367,623.64. Entry fee $29,000. Plug that right in. EMD 10,000. Subto balance is 338,623. Hi, Soleil. What's going on? Oh yeah, that's for Daddy. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. You're so nice. Thank you, Soleil. Okay, so then we got a sub-2 mortgage balance of 338,623.64. Interest rate is 5.25%. All right. Long-term rental is 2,100. So that's my first red flag. When you see the long-term rental rate is below the PITI amount of all this combined. Good to know. Okay, so let's kind of go ahead and take a look at the quick property. So I might have ruled out the property at that point in time, but let's run through the numbers today so you guys can actually see why I would have ruled out the deal. So normally I would have gone through the process. Let's go quick street view. It's like a very suburban area of Cape Coral. Okay, good to know. All right, what else do we got? Can I tell if it's a flood zone or not? Nope, they're not showing the flood zone here. How about here? Nope, no, not gonna flood zone. Okay, 177 days in Redfin, so that's probably why it's not selling. There you go. All right, general condition of the property. I would say this is pretty turnkey. It's not really a pool, it's an above ground pool, so they kind of mark it as a pool house, but it's not, at least what I would consider as a pool house. Okay, good to know. If I go to tophap.com, tophop.com, I'm going to go ahead and check crime score here really quick because I don't think I'm that familiar with Cape Coral. This is a very low crime score, so relatively safe neighborhood, especially in this area, so I feel good about it. Now, what county is Cape Coral in? This is in Lee County, so when you go look for the rent ceiling, I will look up for HUD FMR, and I will look up access to small area FMR, click on look up FY 2024 FMR, and then from that point on, you select the state and the county. In this case, is Lee County. And you see that this zip code is 33991, 33991. And you're going to see here that the rent ceiling for a 3-bedroom is $29.50, and a rent ceiling for a 4-bedroom is $33.50. Okay. Now, for me to understand whether or not I'm going to get that for my market rent, I have to go to affordablehousing.com. I'm going to go to the market rent estimator right here, plug in the address, plug in 3 bedrooms, and let's see what we got. Now, it says right here is $24.38. Okay, $24.38. I'm going to use that number for now because that's still below the $29.50. And the reason you want to use the lower of the two when you compare the rent ceiling, because usually this also includes utilities, but you use the lower of the two because of the rent reasonableness test. The rent reasonableness test essentially states that you cannot charge more rent. Let's see if I can pull up the housing choice voucher guidebook for you guys. You cannot charge more rent to a must not execute on this document. The charge rent is reasonable. And deducting rent reasonableness, the PHA must determine whether or not the rent to the owner is a reasonable rent in comparison to rent for other comparable unassisted units. This is a really good key line right here. You cannot charge more rent when you compare that to an unassisted unit, which means you can't charge more rent to your tenant simply because they are a voucher holder. And that's why you want to take the lower of the two. Okay, so when I use $24.38 as my rent here, just rounding here, they're not even rounding. I just want to see whether or not it's worth my effort to send someone out there and to take a look at the property. Okay. So for this property, let's get the rest of the details here. Since it's relatively turnkey, I'm just going to leave the rehab of roughly $3,500. I'm not going to over engineer it right now. Let's just see what it comes out to. So 470 PI 1481 470. They're saying the total amount should be, I want to do equals this. So this is when they give you all the payments like that, right? So I'm going to do equals 470.44 plus 1481.48 plus 643.34. And I'm going to subtract the principal and the interest payment of the loan that we're taking over subject to. And that results in a remaining amount of $905.97 for my taxes and my insurance. Now, I'm going to add another $50 per month for insurance because the insurance in Florida is going up like crazy. And if you don't imagine that your insurance is going to keep going up, I think you might be in there for a rude awakening. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in at least extra $50 every month for insurance. I'm going to set aside 10% for maintenance every single month. So 10% of my rent does not belong to me, right? Something breaks at the home eventually at some point. And that's why we go ahead and we set aside 10% of the rents every single month, because eventually the roof is going to get replaced. The HVAC is going to get replaced. The water heater is going to die. It's just a matter of years. Even if you keep it for a really long term, a roof is only going to last 10, 15, 25 years, max, if you're lucky. But what if the storm hits? What if there's a hailstorm in some areas? What if there's a hurricane and knocks some of the roof off? These are all things that you need to consider. I then set aside at least 8 to 10% for property management, because the best quotes I ever got was 8%. So this is obviously a very optimistic scenario, but if you don't set aside money for property management, then you're essentially buying yourself a job. And I don't believe that's why we got into real estate. Typically, people get into real estate for financial freedom, freedom of time, choice, whatever you want to call it, so that you can actually go and be free and do whatever you like with your time and spend time with your family. So if you don't underwrite with property management, then you can never get yourself out of that job. Then finally, I got 5% for vacancy, because someone always moves out of your home eventually, no matter what. It might be 10, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, who knows? But every area is going to be different. And even if you're a really nice area, I wouldn't go anything below 3%, just to be super honest, because you're going to have turnover costs. Now, all that results after we put in the entry fee that we put in right here with a 2% closing costs, you're going to be a negative $768, 3-bedroom, gross rent of $2,438, and that's a negative $768. And that will be roughly negative 17% return. So to me, that is not a deal. So I'm just going to put in some of these scenarios right here so we can kind of remember it. Now, the only thing I want to see is whether or not the rents go up as a 4-bedroom. So I saw from the photo that there's a garage. So I don't know, what if I turn that garage into an additional bedroom? And that goes up to $2,681. So it went up by about roughly $250. So even if we're being optimistic, right? Because I saw how big of a jump it was for the rent ceiling from a 3-bed to a 4-bed. So I figured, why not look at the rents on the market from a 3-bed to a 4-bed? Because you might look at the problem or the property a little bit more creatively than what other people are doing. So if you do that and you're plugging in a 4-bedroom, now all of a sudden you're seeing that the rent here is $2,681. Okay, well, if you turn this into a 4-bedroom, does that make you cash flow? And even if you did that and you turn the rent to $2,681, you're still getting a negative $580 cash flow. So I'm going to put this one right here, $2,681. And again, we're using the lower of the two because of the rent reasonableness test. So if you went ahead and just assumed, hey, I can get $3,350 for this property without taking into consideration the rent reasonableness test that they outlined for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, previously called the Section 8 program, you might be grossly overestimating your rents. And that could spell trouble, and that's how you might be able to lose money. And we do not want that. Again, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments here. Simply just showing you guys the work every single day that I'm doing so that we can get more and more practice around this stuff. And let me just write these rents down just so we stay consistent. $3,350, $2,950. I like to just note down all of these details because my partners already know how I analyze deals. So this just makes life a little bit easier, all things considering. So you can plug in your rest of your rent here, like your 4-bedroom, 2681. So I like kind of just having all the support all in one place. So if I ever send a deal to my partners, they already know where all these numbers come from. They know exactly how I underwrite. So it's super, super straightforward when I send over just a spreadsheet. And I'll even put in the rents for 3 bedrooms just so you guys can see the whole completeness of the process. But to be honest with you, I probably would have ruled out this deal as soon as I saw that the wholesaler was saying that the rent was going to be $2,100. But with my research, this is rare. Typically, a wholesaler will market the long-term rental rate as higher than what I typically see. So in this scenario, maybe the wholesaler was underselling the property. But either way, this is not a deal for me personally, but it doesn't mean it cannot be a deal for you if you want to pursue midterm rentals. Doesn't mean that it can't be a deal if you guys want to pursue a different exit strategy, like Airbnbs, for example, because there's no HOA here. So something for you all to consider, but I personally don't invest in Florida because of how crazy the insurance market is going. I used to be in the insurance industry, so I understand that a lot of people, a lot of carriers specifically, that underwrite in that state have pulled out because too much risk, not profitable. And when it's not profitable, people leave. That's pretty much it. So thank you everybody for tuning into the live today. Now, the whole point of why I do this is so that we all can get better analyzing deals together. And I understand that when you're getting started, you might be a little afraid, you might be a little scared, and you frankly don't really know what to do. Well, I'm hoping that today is one option. And that option is you just copy my homework, right? What's the path of least resistance? If you just go ahead and analyze a deal for 18 minutes a day for 365 days a year, well, all of a sudden you're going to be better at analyzing deals than 95% of the country. And if you're looking to put in an offer on a property, you might be nervous. And the only way you can develop the confidence is if you look back at the evidence of all of the work that you have done. And if you just copy what I did today, analyze the same deal using the same spreadsheet, just DM me your email on Instagram at @InvestWithKenHe, and my assistant Pia will send over the spreadsheet to you. I've been fortunate to have been given that spreadsheet by other folks. I just tweaked it on my own to modify how I underwrite so that I can quickly analyze the deals. And then all of a sudden, you can build your own track record, your own YouTube channel. And now all of a sudden, if a partner asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? Well, I know this is a deal because I looked at a deal for the past 223 days, every day. Might that give you a little bit more confidence? Might that give your partners more confidence? So I really hope this all helps you tremendously. Again, I think all you have to do is just copy my homework. That's it. Pick one part, one piece, pick a better analogy. I don't know. I don't care. But just do one part better than I did, because that's the whole point. And this is how we lift each other up. That's how we make each other better. And that's honestly how we make this process a little bit less lonely. Because in the beginning, if you're doing it on your own and your friends from high school or college, they might not have caught up to you or they don't have the same mindset, it can be pretty lonely. So if you want to grow your following, just tag me on Instagram when you guys go live. I'd be happy to share what you're doing, because I understand how hard it is to grow a following. The amount of consistency you have to put in, the amount of work that you have to put in without any expectation in return, without any knowledge of when it might actually pay off. It's okay. Let's do it together so it'll be a little bit less lonely. And the most important part is let's just avoid burnout. Burnout happens when you do a lot of work for no results at all. So the quicker you understand this process, the quicker you understand your criteria, the quicker you can rule out properties. So for today, I mean, we probably ruled out the deal in less than a minute, 2 minutes, but we went through the whole process. So you can see how long it took. It probably took about 10, 12 minutes. So if I can rule out a deal in 2 minutes, but if I had to analyze a deal completely, it might have taken me 12 minutes. That's 6 times as long. You probably could have been looking at 6 deals instead of just 1 deal if you had your criteria down. So that's why we do this. Thank you so much for turning in. Zoe, Tyzo. Thank you for coming in, Vernine. Thank you for coming in for the live today. I really appreciate you. Just DM me anytime you guys have any questions about affordable housing. I'm a full-time developer for the ground up multifamily specifically, but I still do the Section 8 stuff for single families because that's my passion. I love it. That's what I do. So have an amazing day, everybody. I hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Spend some quality time with your family and friends today because that's what life is about. Have an amazing day, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for day 224.